As a day one drop into Xbox Game Pass, we can't be more excited for Wolong Fallen Dynasty. But we know it's hardly the easiest game in the world, but luckily for you, we've played it and we're willing to impart some knowledge onto you to help you on your quest. Whether you're brand new to Souls-like or you just want some pointers on that tough first boss. And if you are well versed in the mechanics of Souls-like games similar to Elden Ring or Sekiro, you can skip to the next section for some Wolong specifics. But those new to the genre and how it works, this is for you. Sam, take it away.
Wolong Fallen Dynasty is a challenging game, I must say, and you are a warrior, yes, but barely invincible. You can be killed pretty easily, and there are very limited ways to build your HP back up. You can only do so 3 times per life to begin with in-game, and you do that by taking a sip on your dragon's cure pot, and you just press up to do that, and it's delicious. Fear not though, you can rest at things called battle flags. These are special areas where your health is replenished and your dragon pot is refilled. Oh, and you can also level up your character here using a resource known as Chi, which you collect primarily by defeating enemies. The only thing is though, with the exception of the bosses and some bigger enemies, when you visit a battle flag, all of those enemies that you just killed will come back to life again. And by the way, that is not actually such a bad thing for reasons we'll go into later. But it's just another staple of the genre you should be aware of when going in cold. And I want you guys going in with a big winter jacket on. Anyway, let's talk about some morale. So you're going to come across some tough foes during your time traveling the 3 kingdoms. So it's important that morale remains high for both you and your nameless warrior. Over to you, Bex.
The number that appears above your health bar and above those of the enemies is your morale rank. You can make it higher by defeating enemies and using special attacks. The higher yours is, the more damage you do, but it works both ways, because it's the same for your enemy. If an enemy's morale rank is higher, they're significantly more dangerous, and this is handily color-coded traffic light style. One key tip to remember here though is to look out for another symbol when coming across groups of enemies, and that's this upward white triangle here. This means that they are what's called followers. That means that group is, in a way, linked together. When seeing a group like this, go for the one with the highest morale rank first with a sneak attack, making sure you're lightly tilting L stick when near them. Take that one down and not only will your morale rise quicker, but the enemies will become more open to fatal strike thanks to a nice healthy reduction to their spirit gauge. One thing that separates Wolong Fallen Dynasty from other Souls-like games is this spirit gauge mechanic. This is something you need to have a handle on pretty firmly to get used to its combat too. So here's how that works.
You will find that the spirit gauge monitor beneath your health bar, and it's either in orange when it's too far to the left and in the negative, or in the blue if it's on the right and in the positive. I know that sounds simple, but it's best to think of spirit a bit like stamina and mana, or mana, I know you're going off in the comments. It's all like both of those but mixed into one, because when it's in the blue you can use it for spirit attacks with the Y button and wizardry spells, but you can also use it for martial arts attacks, which vary from weapon to weapon, and you can access it by holding down RB and pressing an attack button. Anyway, it increases by landing attacks on opponents or by deflecting theirs by pressing B, though, more on that later. What you need to know is, the higher the spirit, the more damage your spirit attacks will do. But if you do allow it to get too low though, and you're in trouble, once the orange negative bar gets too high, you'll get dazed and you'll be very open to savage enemy attacks. It also lowers when you get attacked by enemies or by dodging, so you have to be careful to judge your deflection and dodges, especially in bigger fights. I would say that works both ways though, because if you reduce your enemy's spirit enough, they'll be staggered and open to a fatal strike. So when they're woozy, tap Y and you'll hit them very, very hard. To even the odds a bit though, there are ways to make the spirit gauges shorter through sneak attacking a member of a group or by deflecting.
One tip we've found against bigger enemies when they're stunned like this, get as many normal hits with X in as you can before going in with the bigger attack with Y. This is because you'll get a few good licks in to chip away at their health, which you'll also get more spirit for, so the Y attack is way stronger at the end of it. Here's some specific tips for when it comes to deflecting. As well, it can make you feel incredibly cool when you pull it off, it's just as easy to fumble. Deflection is best used to parry attacks that are unguardable, known as critical blows, which are signposted by enemies looking like they have red lightning flowing through them, like so. One impulse that's quite hard to shake off is pressing B as soon as you see them go red. This means you won't time it right and be open for quite a harsh attack. Instead, wait until the attack is just about to hit you, which will happen at different paces with different enemies. It may well result in a few failures along the way, but hey, such is life. And those valuable mistakes may come from one fight in particular early on. The first big bad boss fight of Wolong Fallen Dynasty, Zhang Liang, General of Man, is a tough titan to take down. So here's some general tips we found helpful and some particular to this battle itself.
Firstly, and I will say this, if you are finding him too hard, then don't be afraid to double back on yourself and go through the previous enemies to harvest chi. Remember, chi is the good stuff that you can use to level up your character. The giant tiger hidden along a path down below the fire engulfed quarry near the village is a good target to go after for this. It works especially well if you get that fight off to a cracking start with a sneak attack. Don't forget, these enemies can also drop items too, and these seem to be randomized from what we've seen, but most of the time, it's nothing. But sometimes, there are consumables or even weapons, so doing this may well expand your arsenal too. You'll also get access to wizardry spells, which can be very helpful in the fight against Zhang. These are magical abilities, and they are offensive or have buffs like the enhanced defense, which, well, helps boost defense. This is all simple, but you're getting it. With Zhang in particular, though, we found that focusing on defense and spells that build HP, like absorb vitality, rather than offensive lightning or fire spells, as those can be a relatively small payoff for leaving yourself so open. Although going around and exploring certain areas again may mean you find marker flags too, and these restore your health, but you can't level up at them. However, they, like battle flags, can also raise your fortitude rank. This means your base morale rank is higher and cannot dip below that number. So the higher your morale, the more damage you do in attacks. Speaking of high morale, if you guys are enjoying this video, please make sure to leave a like, a comment, and subscribe on it. Anyway, back over to Bex.
Getting back to Zhang in particular, try as much as possible to save all your cure pots for the second stage of the fight, as he has some particularly devastating attacks here. Focus on deflecting his unguardable attacks and staying out of the way where you can for his others. When his spirit gauge is down and he's fully stunned, remember the trick of getting as many X attacks in as possible before the big Y attack, so it does as much damage as possible. Pay attention to prompts though, because you don't even have to fully defeat his second form. Just whittle him down to just under half his health and press Y and B at the prompt. You can easily miss this if you're too focused on the fight like I did, but it brings a cutscene and therefore his defeat forward early if you do so.
That's it. Thanks so much for watching, guys. For more tips and news on Xbox games, remember to subscribe to Xbox On, and we will see you next time. Bye-bye.